A man walked into a billion-dollar family office with the perfect pitch and completely blew it in 6 minutes of nervous rambling. Let's call him Marcus. He had everything dialed in. The numbers were rock solid, and the principal, Helena, a woman who'd built her empire from shipping, was actually paying attention. Then it happened. She paused. Just 5 seconds of silence. And Marcus? He absolutely panicked. Started throwing out contradictory examples, over-explaining everything, basically talking himself right out of the biggest opportunity of his life. Helena's pause wasn't rejection, it was processing. She was weighing Marcus's solid fundamentals against her family's long-term strategy, the kind of thoughtful consideration that separates ultra-wealthy decision-makers from everyone else. But Marcus misread the silence completely. The moment she stopped nodding, his confidence cracked. He interpreted her consideration as discomfort and started filling the void with unnecessary case studies. Then he contradicted his first example with a second one that undermined his entire positioning. By the time he realized what he'd done, Helena had mentally moved on. Not because his original presentation was weak, but because his panic revealed someone who couldn't handle the pressure of real wealth decisions. But here's what Helena was actually doing during that silence. She was testing Marcus's confidence through time control, the ultimate power signal in ultra-wealthy circles, where temporal freedom is the one luxury that cannot be faked. While he spiraled into explanations, Helena was demonstrating what she'd learned managing her family office. You cannot fake a schedule that suggests freedom you haven't earned. Her pause wasn't a lack of decision. It was a deliberate evaluation. For someone like Helena, silence functions as a filter. She'd learned that people who rush to fill conversational gaps reveal their need for approval, while those who can hold space show they understand that in luxury circles, time belongs to whoever controls it. Marcus failed the test, not because his numbers were wrong, but because his desperation to fill 5 seconds exposed exactly the kind of insecurity that makes ultra-wealthy clients question whether you can handle the pressure of managing generational wealth. 6 months after that disaster, Marcus walked into another family office pitch. This time, Helena's peer, a principal from a Dubai-based shipping fortune, asked the same type of question that had derailed him before. Can you handle our scale? Marcus felt the familiar urge to elaborate, to prove himself with examples and reassurances. Instead, he said simply, "Yes, I can." Then he stopped. The silence stretched for exactly 4 seconds. The principal nodded once, the same nod Helena had given before Marcus had talked himself out of contention. But this time, Marcus held the space. That controlled pause demonstrated something Helena's world values above all else: the confidence to let your work speak without needing to fill every gap with nervous energy. The principal leaned forward and said, "Tell me about your process." Marcus had passed the silence test that separates advisors from peers. 3 months after Marcus learned the value of silence, Helena's training team began implementing the systematic approach that transforms advisors who serve ultra-high net worth families. The method Marcus underwent wasn't intuitive, it was mechanical. First came measurement, timing response gaps on video, where most clients averaged under 1 second before filling silence. The target became 5 seconds, a threshold that mirrors the pricing discipline and coaching frameworks Helena's peers use when evaluating whether someone can handle generational wealth conversations. Then conditioning, physical end markers, like closing a notebook or placing hands still, teaching the body that sentences finish completely. When advisors spoke again before 5 seconds elapsed, they reset and repeated until the stop became automatic. Finally, exposure. Practicing silence under mild pressure, building from short pauses to 5 seconds and beyond in real conversational scenarios. The nervous system gradually stopped treating quiet as a threat that demanded immediate filling. That silence test Marcus learned. It's now the ultimate luxury asset in Helena's world. Rare, controlled, deliberate. For someone managing generational wealth like Helena, silence has become a selection mechanism, the same way she evaluates concierge medicine or private jet operators. Expensive, but predictable and insurable. Helena's pause wasn't random, it was selection pressure, testing whether Marcus understood that true authority doesn't need validation. Verbal restraint signals what quiet luxury brands signal. You grasp that in her circles, discretion matters more than visibility. Marcus's transformation from nervous rambler to a master of silence represents the evolution every advisor must make to serve families like Helena's, learning that your most expensive asset isn't what you say, but what you don't need to prove. In her world, that restraint is worth more than any pitch. But Marcus's journey didn't end with mastering silence. He later found himself back in Helena's office, this time invited. She'd heard about his transformation through the tight network of peers and wanted to see if the nervous advisor who'd once fumbled his way through her conference room had truly evolved. When she asked him about his approach to managing generational wealth, Marcus felt that urge to explain, to prove, to fill every second with validation. Instead, he simply said, "I listen first. The numbers follow." The silence that followed lasted 8 seconds. Helena smiled. "Now," she said, "we can begin." Marcus had come full circle. From the man who couldn't handle 5 seconds of quiet, to someone who understood that in Helena's world, the space between words carries more weight than the words themselves. The nervous rambler who'd walked into that first meeting had become exactly the kind of advisor Helena's family office needed. Subscribe for more secrets in the psychology of successful individuals.